So Penn and Teller, thank you for joining me for this interview.
Thanks.
How you guys doing, man?
Wonderful.
You enjoying London? You jet lagged?
Well,
you
yeah,
knackered?
we're jet lagged. We just got in. We just came in over to do these interviews, so we really haven't seen much of London other than this room.
Oh, okay. Are you going to get to see much of London, or are you just going to be confined to rooms like this?
We'll probably get out maybe one night while we're here, but it's mostly a lot of interviews.
Uh-huh.
I've been strolling along by the, by the big Ferris wheel.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, see many performers, many drunk people?
Yesterday there were lots of people there because it was a holiday. What was the holiday yesterday?
Bank holiday, Monday. Is it May Day? May bank holiday? What is that bank holiday about? Do you know what? I've got no idea what most of the bank holidays are about, apart from Christmas and Easter. Apart from that, there's like random bank holidays all throughout the year.
Good.
It's kind of weird. Now, I'm pretty excited to interview you both because personally I'm not a fan of most magicians, and the reason for that is that I hate the way that most magicians are just not very honest. A lot of them try and deceive the public or put over an image that they've got magic powers, like they fall from Krypton or they've drunk the devil's sperm or something. And you guys are part of a small group where integrity is really part of your performance, and it's a really important part for what you guys do. So I really want to know, when did ethics really become a part of the performance and the act for you guys?
Well, it starts right away. I never considered doing that. And the people that you're talking about, David Blaine, Chris Angel, and so on, it's not mistaken. They really, part of their goal is to obscure, to blur the lines between reality and what they do in magic, which it seems to me just so unpleasant. Because if the people don't believe it, then you're insulting their intelligence.
Yeah.
And if they do believe it, then you're ripping them off. So there's really no way to win and get a happy situation. To do tricks that no one can figure out is a really nice idea, and to get full credit for that. To not be claiming anything supernatural, but rather this is something you could do too if you worked and thought about it.
Yeah. At the beginning, did you guys go more the David Blaine route with what you did, or have you always kind of stuck to your guns?
Oh, we've never ever gone that route at all. That route is just not even slightly interesting to us. The idea that you would, last week I was doing card tricks and now I can hold my breath a really long time.
Yeah.
Just seems nonsense to me.
And what's your opinion of those guys? Do you look down on them? Do you just accept them?
Oh, I don't know. David Blaine is a friend of ours, and we argue with him about this much more intently one-on-one than we ever do in public. And we do disagree very much, and so he disagrees with us, but he's always nice to us. We do disagree, but it's not to the point that we don't talk to each other.
Sure. And did you ever use other magicians' opinions of you guys to your own benefit for maybe PR purposes?
Yeah, we did. When we first started out, way back,
What we're talking, early 80s?
Yeah, magicians were seen as something that divorced fathers left their children off to see while they went out. And you could get a certain kind of an audience just saying it was a magic act. But it wasn't the audience we wanted. So we would avoid saying that we did a magic act, just say we were doing Penn and Teller, and then specifically found the very few magicians who were offended by what we did by giving stuff away and gave them a forum. We repeated what they said over and over again, so we were seen as outcasts from magic, just so people that hated magic would come to see us. There's a lot of what people hate about magic we don't do.
Yeah.
If you think of magic as a greasy guy in a tux with a lot of birds torturing women in front of Mylar to bad rip-off white boy Motown music, that's not what we do.
Sure, flying birds, right? Not women. We're talking flying birds.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And you consider it to be, someone pretending to have real power out on the street. That's not us either.
Yeah, and you touched on a point that I want to go back to. You guys did a PR campaign where you avoided using the word magic.
Yeah, we would.
You called it the N-word.
Yeah, we did. The producers.
How did that work? I don't get it.
That's a little bit cute for my taste. The producers would call it the M-word and would just avoid it. We just avoided ever saying we did a magic act. We just always said it was Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
And of course, the terminology on that is so sloppy anyway. We do tricks, and people use the word illusionist, which is kind of a term of art for a certain kind of magic, is an illusion. And a certain kind of magic we don't do much of. Very few people do much of.
Yeah.
The actual optical illusion type stuff. So, tricks is what we like, swindles, rip-offs.
Yeah.
You want to build right in there. the fact that you're dealing with information that's not true.
So you're kind of the American equivalent of Darren Brown. Do you guys know Darren
Well,
Brown?
Darren, yeah, Tellar's especially close to Darren. I know him, and we're big fans of Darren Brown. He's great. We agree with him on everything.
Cool, man. I know that you guys once said that the crappiest trick has a political and moral component. What do you guys mean by that?
Well, magic has built into it automatically.
Yeah.
Built into it is irony. The fact that something appears one way and is really done another. And it has got to do with manipulating information. So no matter how lousy the trick is, you have that automatically built in. It's one of the reasons you have such bad magic acts. Because even the worst magic act, if it does fool people, has all this content built in. Now, many magicians fight against that. Many magicians fight against that by either saying it's real, which destroys any intelligence to that, because then...
It's weird, isn't it? It's
just
weird and creepy.
And the other thing they'll do is they'll say, well, put aside your skepticism and come on this magical journey with me, which also puts it aside. I mean, Tellar's fond of saying that, in theater, you have the willing suspension of disbelief. In magic, you have the unwilling suspension of disbelief. You try to bust it, and yet you can't. And that gives it automatically a political and moral point of view.
Okay, that's clear. I know that you guys have been in showbiz a long time. You've done some pretty big TV specials. But there's one show in particular that I'm very fond of. I discovered quite recently. And it really put the spotlight on you both as skeptics. Where did the idea for bullshit come from?
Well, we've been wanting to do, ever since the first person talked to us about doing a television show, we wanted to do a skeptical show, And the powers that be will tell you can't sell skepticism. You can't say that's negative. But we wanted to take the same passion that the believers have and do the passion on the other side.
Yeah.
Do the passion, the nutty, powerful passion for in a pro-science, pro-reality point of view. So we did like 88 shows,
That's a lot of shows,
of
isn't
bullshit. And kind of oddly, coincidentally, we started bullshit right after 9/11/2001. So we started it right about the time that the U.S. was very sick of being, shall we say, coddling crazy ideas.
Yeah, I think after then, the American government really went on a bullshit attack, didn't they? There's loads of bullshit coming from every direction.
Yeah.
And what's your favourite episode?
My favorite episode was the last episode we did, which was because everything in bullshit is stated double negative. It was the anti-vaccination show, or the pro-vaccination show.
That's the one where the porn star is saying that people or children shouldn't get vaccinated.
Yeah, we're saying it's a pro-vaccination show, and it was a really important message. I thought we did a good job. We had to really fight Showtime because they didn't think that talking about vaccinations was sexy.
Yeah.
And we tried a way to do that. We found a woman with bigger breasts than Jenny McCarthy. That's all we had to do to make that sexy.
There's boobs. It's gonna work. With bullshit, what I found quite interesting as well was that you introduced, I think, the first episode by saying this, and you can say bullshit. You call people motherfuckers, but you can't call them quacks.
Yeah, well, that isn't actually true. There is a case to be made that if you call somebody a motherfucker or a dipshit, and you've said before that motherfucker or dipshit means liar, then you can be busted for that. The magic words, at least in U.S. slander law, the magic words are liar, quack. Those get you in trouble right away. So we would have our legal team look over and say, can't you call this guy an asshole instead? Because in the court case, they then have to go to court and prove that by asshole you meant liar and not something else, and that they are not a liar. It puts another level of another burden on them to prove that to be able to sue you. And we did 88 shows. We never sued successfully, so that's pretty good.
Well done.
We were pretty careful.
Yeah, and wasn't there quite a novel way that you got around using the word quack?
Yes, when we did a show on chiropractors, they told us it was very, very important that we never say the word quack. Never, ever say the word quack. It's hard to write a show on chiropractors without saying quack. So we got a bunch of ducks They were all on our feet for the whole show. And ducks, it turns out, can quack all they want.
Yeah, they quack a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to say pyramid scheme on one of our vertical marketing
Why
shows. Because pyramid scheme, you can also bust somebody on. So we did it with big blue screen pyramids behind us and in Arab outfits.
Oh, very good. I know you guys are very big atheists,
Yeah.
very well known for being atheists. I'm an atheist myself. Now, when I talk to religious people, I really find myself between a rock and a hard place. Because although I can respect someone's choice for choosing religion, I find it very hard to respect religion itself because it's caused so much wars and it's just so archaic to me. You know, something that's written 2,000 years ago and to have that taken as fact today is just balmy. So it is. I mean, where do you stand with that? Do you respect religion or do you just respect people's choices?
I'm afraid it comes down to a version of love the sinner, hate the sin. I don't think you can just dismiss and hate anyone who believes in religion. There's just so much good there.
Yeah.
There's so much good in people. And the vast majority of religious people are good people because the vast majority of people are good people. But you have to be very careful when respecting the people not to accidentally respect the religion.
So that's where I find what I find quite difficult because I can respect the person and I can respect their choice. Totally up for people.
I don't go the way to respecting their choice. I like to make sure that they know that I know they're wrong.
Oh, okay, good.
But wrong is a respectful position. To say someone's wrong is respectful. That is a way to disagree. And I believe in proselytizing. I believe that people should share their beliefs. They should state them very strongly. I think if you believe that there is everlasting life and I'm missing it, that you should try to convince me. I think that morally that has to be your position. You must do that. But it's also my position to disagree with you. I believe that the quickest way to atheism is simply reading the Bible, cover to cover in order. Not someone leading you by the hand and telling you what it should mean, but actually reading what the words do say.
Is there a certain point where you think that will happen?
I go right when God tells Abraham to kill his son. Even though he says, just kidding, at the last moment. Someone that tells me to kill a member of my family, they're not my friend.
No, it's quite wacky, isn't it? Okay, good. Has there ever been a better time to be an atheist?
It's a good time to be atheist. I mean, atheist is growing very, very quickly. I'm not as familiar. That's Richard Dawkins' territory over here. I'm more familiar with the U.S. But if you were to call atheism a religion, which you shouldn't, but if you were to call it that, non-belief a religion, it's the fastest growing religion in American history. It's coming along very, very quickly. And that's not just the reason it's a good reason to be an atheist, but even though there's still a lot of bad stuff that happens to atheists, we're being treated pretty well. We're being treated pretty well. There's always the nightmare stories, but the U.S. especially, I can't speak much to England, but the U.S. has made the most remarkable changes on dealing with people who were real outsiders even 10 years ago. The strides we made on gay rights and atheist rights are unbelievable. I think we're seeing that in the internet, and just people are changing their minds and growing like we've never seen before. I mean, we're really living in a time that, if you talk to even your most optimistic gay rights people in '95, would not have predicted gay marriage being within 40 years.
Do you reckon that's down to Obama or the government or?
Well, it's certainly not Obama. Obama was against it. Obama, if anything, is coming up behind on this. It's certainly not the government. I think it's actually people just learning and respecting and growing. And a lot of that came from brave gay people who just said, yes, I'm gay, and there you go, and deal with it. And having to deal with sons and daughters and parents and neighbors and co-workers all that way. I think we're seeing the same thing with atheists. You know, it's very easy to paint someone as pure evil until they turn out to be in the desk next to you,
Yeah.
and you're going bowling with them. Then the pure evil thing kind of has to go away.
And you had a run-in with a fairly famous British person, didn't you, who was a Christian on TV?
Oh, you mean Pierce?
Oh, Piers, mate,
Yeah.
Piers. Glad you took him.
Yeah, Pierce had a show for a while,
Yeah.
and I was on that show. And he was very nice to me before the cameras rolled, and as soon as the cameras started rolling, Pierce said, "I hate you and I hate your book."
What happened?
Now,
Did you slug off his mum or something?
It turned out that he had read the book.
Uh-huh.
That didn't come out till after the show.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know whether he was clawing at ratings or what. But he came at me very, very aggressively. And
It was attack mode. From like a minute and a half, it was just attack.
It was. And I stayed polite to Pierce. And I think the remarkable thing about it was, there is something pretty remarkable, which is I wrote up in my book, God No. Or maybe it was the next one, Atheist Holiday. I wrote up that experience of being on Pierce Morgan. And I then went on Pierce Morgan's show again with that book. And Pierce read the chapter about him.
Uh-huh.
And then held up the book and
A
said,
whole chapter on him.
yeah, and then held up the book and said, he comes at me pretty strong for what I did, and I guess I deserved it. So
That's often a guy to actually admit that you did what you did.
You can never tell from where you are. You know, it's things change. So my feeling about Pierce ends up being pretty pleasant.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he did attack me as much as he possibly could
Yeah.
in an hour. But in the long run, he turned out to be kind of okay. Although I have friends that think that just saying Pierce Morgan is okay is the biggest sin you can commit.
It's a bit of a sin. And you guys have been working together, for close to 40 years?
We're knocking
now?
on 40 years, yeah.
What's the secret to your relationship? Because you guys have been together more time than most people get married.
Yeah, we've been together a long time. I think the important thing is that respect trumps affection.
Uh-huh.
I think it's very important that we, neither of us do anything wrong. We show up for every gig. We're not drunk. We do our job. We agree on all important kind of philosophical and moral things.
Uh-huh.
And then we think that what we do together is better than what we do separately. And overall, we run it more like a dry cleaning business than some sort of tumultuous relationship. You know, there's not a lot of screaming, not a lot of arguing.
How do you
And
keep
show
it
up
so
and do the
calm?
job. Well, we do keep it so calm by we don't have to spend time together that we're not working. We work together, we go to work. I mean, everybody all over the world get along with their coworkers, and we're just doing the same thing.
Yeah. And tell us about your tour. You're in the UK for the first time for a few years. What's happening? What's new?
I don't know. So far we've just been in rooms talking to people like you.
Uh-huh.
I think Tellar got out last night. I didn't. I went to sleep last night. So I don't know if we're going to get out much this time, but we're back over doing the shows. We have a little more time. The next time we come over to play the Apollo in Manchester and so on, my whole family's coming out. So I'm bringing my children over and showing them England. So I'm singing Roger Miller songs.
Oh, nice. And what kind of things can people expect at your show?
Well, we're doing a lot of stuff we haven't done in England before. We decided we played here recently, just a few years ago. So we picked up a lot of stuff from the Vegas show that we've never done overseas. We'll be doing here. So we're doing a lot of big tricks, a big sawing a woman in half, big appearances, stuff like that, new stuff.
Yeah, well, guys, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the tour.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I've just been interviewed by Kevin Durham, and we feel blah.